The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for trying this Grand Prix in Malaysia. And look at Banyaya.
He's up to second.
Back at Banyaya, up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. How close was that?
To all my fans, this year is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia. 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 Jom ke Sepang, kasih gegar.
Yokohama.
It is hot down here in the pit lanes. It's definitely going to be hotter out there on the track. Ladies and gents, we are back. Welcome back at the Malaysia Championship Series down here.
And the Malaysia Championship Series 2021 season is a go. You can hear those engines screaming their way. Driver all, there's some contact at turn 15. We said there might be some action at turn 15. Wow, that's a double overtake. This is some huge stuff to kick off.
It looks so gloomy down here at the Sepang International Circuit. It has been raining a bit earlier this morning, but never fear. We will still be witnessing the awesomeness that is the race day that's happening down here at the Sepang International Circuit for the Malaysia Championship Series, round number 3, race number 1. My name is Mio Adlan, and it is always a pleasure to accompany all of you guys who are watching us now live on our official Sepang Circuit Facebook page. Hope you guys are having a great Saturday so far, and hope that it will definitely get much better with the racing that we will be witnessing after this. It has been quite of a wait for us, about a month and a half since round 2 has happened, but we are back again here to witness all of the 4 different categories that we have: the MTCs, the TP, the the other 2 categories. I'm sorry, I'm actually a little bit lost for words because I'm super excited to watch all of these drivers portraying their skills on a somewhat wet course that we have here at the Sepang International Circuit. A bit of a reminder to all of you folks out there, don't forget tickets are still on sale for the upcoming Petronas Moto GP Grand Prix of Malaysia, which is happening in November this year. You can go check them out at the sepangcircuit.com website, where you can get tickets to watch this great Moto GP racing. And a bit of a reminder as well, for all of you My Card holders out there, you will be eligible to have a 10% off for every ticket purchase. You definitely do not want to miss out. As mentioned, folks, a lot of racing will be happening down here at the circuit today. As mentioned, it's a bit wet or whatnot. What I know for sure is these 2 blokes, these 2 chaps who are dry the whole day today, Nick, and of course my brother from another mother who's also shiny as well, Jeef.
Doing? Yeah, good to speak to you again here at round 3 of the Malaysia Championship Series. Yes, it's a big welcome to the commentary box of the Malaysia Championship Series, and once again joining us is our new Malaysia Championship Series commentator, co-commentator I should say, renowned, famed sports journalist Nicholas Anil. Nick, how are you doing?
I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having me, and I'm looking forward to an exciting race. You know, just looking at the point standing, they have 3 teams who are so close with each other, and I think, you know, if each of these teams live through the form, we could see an outstanding race today.
Yeah, this is the thing with having 75%, or this being the 75% mark completion of the year. There is only 1 round. That's going to be on the 22nd to 24th of September that concludes the Malaysia Championship Series, and that is still being decided as to whether it's going to be its usual double-header race that it has, the 300-kilometer endurance, or if it's going to be split up into round 1 and round 2 is we used to know it, or we now know it, and it's been a very should we say, standard season for Malaysia Championship Series this year after all those pandemic years. Oh, so far away that was now. Well, no, not really, just a couple of years ago, of course, and it did affect the livelihoods and the execution of Malaysia's premier touring car national championship, which is this. As you can see, the safety car is already out on track, and we're getting ready for race 1 here. And you did say very, very close in terms of the standings. And as we get to the grid, I'll actually go through those. But all the big names are in attendance this week in terms of the Malaysia Championship Series. Johnny Z, Tauhid Anwar, Umar Abdullah in touring production, Hayden Heikel, Mitchell Cher in MTC, you Faris Fauzi, Jesmond Tan in SP1, and in the 4th category, SP2 and SP2V. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, well, touring production cars, they're the big ones, and the turbo cars as well, up to 2,000cc. MTC, modified class of 1,600cc and above, and below, sorry. SP1, that's stock production 1, cars up to 2,000cc, the bigger part of that SP category, and stock production 2, cars below 1,600cc. What it means is essentially 4 different races, all into one big overall classification. And yes, a lot of, as I like to say, bump and grind.
Exactly. Like you mentioned, you know, all the big names are down. There's been a 1.5-month break, but I'm sure all the drivers, they have been doing their preparations. You know, they've been test driving the cars, and they are all ready and fired up for this weekend's race.
Yep, there's Yip Kan Heng and Freddie Ang in TD Racing, sitting on the grid waiting. And as you said, 1.5 months is quite a time to wait for your next round. But it also gives you a lot of time to really consolidate and contemplate what happens in terms of the progression of points. So it is standard touring car production racing points. So 15 points for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, and then it goes all the way down to 1 point. And what you really do need, as with all racing championships, I guess, is consistency. That's what is going to make the mark. Yes, people like Johnny Z, Shasul Ajam, Empire M Race, actually, I was about to say that they were going to go out and win, but Empire M Racing, no disrespect to you, having another troubled season in terms of DNFs and you know, and trying to finish races and stuff, so we wish them the best. But there's always something that happens at a Malaysia Championship Series race, whether it is a strange start, whether it is water on the track, and, you know, just as a weather update, that water that you're seeing coming off the back of that lovely Mercedes safety car only just turned up about half an hour ago. It was actually quite dry.
Yeah, exactly. When I was making my way here, it was actually drizzling, and I thought, you know, are we going to see what happened 1.5 months ago?
So while we've got the time, don't forget, of course, to get onto the official website, www.sepangcircuit.com. That's the big race, of course, the 24th Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia, the 2023 edition, happening on the 10th to 12th of November, and tickets are selling out fast. I did hear that a couple of categories, the Marc Marquez Tribune and Premier seats, have already sold out. So that's why you really need to get onto that website right now while I'm speaking and get your tickets set up for what is going to be another huge, huge race this year. And also the Car Open Track Day. Find out you can fulfill your need for speed. You can take your car within safe limits, of course, to try and set your own personal fastest lap here at Sepang. Book online now at www.sepangcircuit.com. And as I tell you that, as you can see, the pit lane is now open and the cars are beginning to make their way out. Yet to confirm with race control, well, as I say that, it has been declared wet by race control. So all cars are going to need their lights on, and they're going to be on just the right wet tires as well. But what it means is, Nick, especially when it's dry at Sepang, there are a few drivers that are pretty much always going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark Darwin, stuff like that. For, you know, there's a lot of Boy Wongs, very fast.
Mitchell Chia as well.
Mitchell Chia is another one. In a wet race, it's a little bit different because it's a little bit slower. And oh, hello, ladies, how are you doing today? Wonderful, grid girls. A little bit dressed up because it's a bit cold today. That's the thing. Yeah.
Indeed. I was just referring to the last race, you know, round 2. Over 2 weekends, we saw 2 different contrasting races. You know, the first round 1, it was wet and it was delayed for about 45 minutes, and we were just basically predicting what's going to happen and when the race was going to start. But race 2 was so interesting because it went to plan, and we saw Ayub Azli and Kifli Othman basically dominate from start to finish with the 12-second cushion at the end of the day. You know, Jonathan Z was chasing closely, but never could make it. So two contrasting race. Now we're going to see a wet race, something different perhaps.
Yeah, and for this race, really, Johnny Z, one of the standout performers from the last couple of years, he would have loved to have a better round two. He's going to be looking to make a huge impact on this one. And if you look at the top of the qualifying sheet, what name is at the top of that qualifying sheet but Johnny Z?
Johnny Z.
2:26, 2:10 he put into qualifying yesterday. If I was right, Anwar Avik, Tawid Anwar came in with a 2:28.346 after that, and it was Umar Abdullah, 2:28.563. That's your top three in terms of qualifying. And 2:28 is a pretty good lap on any given day. I have seen laps by the driver who I like to call the Flash, Mark Darwin. He's taken it down 2:26, 2:25s at times during race time as well. Now, looking at that track as they approach turn 10, as you can see the big swimming pool of water right in the middle of that track. And that's just turned up recently. So they're going to have to watch that line. And hopefully all these guys, they know each other so well. Of course, they race on this track every year, and they know the lines and pretty much every contour of the track as you get around each of these 15 corners. And it's good to see a little bit of blue sky up there as well.
Yeah, indeed. Let's hope for clear skies and a smooth race, because being halted halfway through proceedings takes away all the momentum, you know.
Yeah,
and it
really
takes a
does.
while to get warmed up and get going again.
That's the thing. It's there's so much in sport, whether it's touring cars or whatever you're watching, which is psychological. There's the physical aspect, the tangible aspect of being in the car, and then of course for the teams and the mechanics, it's about setting up the car as well, just right. But it's also looking up at the sky and seeing grey sky and thinking, right, this is the challenge that I'm going to have to put in today. And for Sepang, well, I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I'll tell you, Nick, that's a pretty good sky.
Yes, yes. I think your word for it, Jin.
lot worse. See those trees in the back? Yeah, there are some skies where you can't even see those.
Yeah, indeed.
It's just white out. So as you get to the grid now, usual start procedure, there'll be a rolling start at the end of the boards. And when I say the boards, there's the 10-minute board, 5-minute board, 3-minute board, 1-minute board, and those boards represent specific actions on the grid, shall we say. So the amount of people allowed on the grid, right now you can see just on the left of your screen, a huge mass of people. Well, that's press, media, photographers, and the team officials and technicians as well. And as we get through those 10-minute, 5-minute, 3-minute, 1-minute boards, each of them, their tags that they wear around are going to expire, and they're going to have to leave the grid. And believe me, if they don't leave the grid, there's penalties. Okay, there's big penalties. It is in your best interest to leave that grid. And in the end, for the 1-minute board, there should just be the cars and the drivers before we get off on our formation lap. That formation lap will be extended, or can be extended by race control if need be. But once all the cars, and it's a pretty big grid today. I haven't got the full SP, the full info as to exactly how many cars on the grid, but I can tell you that at the start of this season, and for round 2, record-breaking grids.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is great to see for the growth of Malaysian motorsports in general. What you have to understand is that the Sepang International Circuit, this FIA Grade 1 F1 circuit, is also a regional and national motorsport hub. And this championship is the jewel in the crown of that hub. So to have more and more entrants and competitors taking part every year is fantastic. And as I said, I think we had, I'm just going to stick my neck out, it was something like 58, 57 cars.
To be precise, it was 54 cars. And
that's a pretty good guess.
Round 2, very close. Round 2 actually achieved the highest number of entries since 2002. And we had participation from so many different countries,
it's actually
from
turning
different
into
continents.
The thing is that regional is also international when you're in Asia. That's the thing.
Of
It's
course.
just we're all brothers and sisters in terms of being Asian. But drivers from Singapore, Tawid Anwar is from Bangladesh, of course. He's spent a lot of time at the UAE Pro Car Championship. Very impressed with him as a driver. But Indonesian drivers we've had, that have come in, and
Even
all in all,
Ecuador as well, from South
Ecuador,
America.
that's right.
represent.
Diego Moran, that's right. Is Alex Young driving today? I have to check the. He should be. If he's not driving, I know. Yes, he is. He is. In the number 21 car, SP2V, Axel Sports. But of course, being the owner of Axel Sports, Malaysia's ex-F1 legend, Alex Young, is in charge of, I'm sure, multiple cars today. I can see 2 already, 3. And he's also one of these drivers and now race team owners that likes to bring in this talent. So he's the one that was, of course, responsible for bringing Diego Moran onto this championship and in this circuit. So now onto the grid, and we will be talking to some of these drivers very, very soon. And everybody is just absolutely ready for this race.
Just an indication of what's to come, Jeevan. You were talking about the qualifying times, right? Jonathan Z posted 2:26. And on average, a speed 2:28, like you mentioned, is fast.
Yeah.
While Johnny Z got 2:26. Is that an indication we could see today from
Oh yeah,
from
for
the
sure.
man who has,
Around these 15 corners, the 5.543 kilometers of Sepang, you can get anything up to 224 if you really push it. But let's get down to the grid now. And Mio, of course, is weaving his way through, and I think he's going to be talking to Umar Abdullah.
Okay, now I'm here down on the grid with car number 86, if I'm not mistaken, with somebody we've imported actually from Indonesia. We have Umar Abdullah together with us. Umar, gimana kabarnya?
Alhamdulillah baik.
Ya baik. Ya jadi ya nggak jelasnya gimana weathernya gitu, tapi sekarang udah jadinya wet race gitu. Jadi ya nggak apa-apa kan?
Nggak apa-apa wet race.
Oke.
Yang penting posisi kualifikasi udah bagus, jadi insya Allah bisa fight.
Oke. Jadi ekspektasinya gimana sini? Kalau kamu sini baru kali keduanya sama MCS, jadi langsung ini untuk round 3 gitu. Jadi ekspektasi kamu di row nomor 2 ini gimana?
Saya tetap ekspektasi mau podium. Podium 1, 2, 3 salah satu kita lihat.
Jadi itu guarantee ataupun gimana?
Bismillah.
Bismillah. Oke, good luck pada kamu ya.
Terima kasih.
Okay, that's it from Omar, guys. Back to you. A bit of Indo on there.
Yeah, that's good. Good Indonesian, Mio speaking. But yes, according to Umar, wet race or not, it doesn't matter. He's going to stick to his position, and the message was clear. I want podium today.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. I said it's about. I was saying it earlier. One step at a time. You know, all things in life have to be done like that. And when it comes to racing, what that means is that you have to keep that primary focus as to what you want from the weekend. There's a lot of cars on here that. What I'm saying is you have to be realistic about what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So if you want to finish in the top 3 or the top 6, that's what you aim for. But there are a lot of cars in here that are still trying to break down research and development as it goes, and they might be looking for a top 10. Now, before any of that, let's get down to the grid because Mio has immediately jumped over to one of the big names, and of course the man that's going to make it all the way, hopefully. Johnny Z is with Mio.
That's right. I'm here together now with Johnny C down here, pole position in row number 1. Hey, Johnny, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Nice to see you again.
Yes, of course. I love it.
All right. So again, nobody expected that we're going to be driving on a wet-ish kind of track today. So any changes in plans? I mean, granted, you're on podium. You're on the pole position right now at the front, so that should be smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, the car has been set up, tested rain for the past races. So I think I have a fairly average setup to run in the wet.
Okay.
So I hope everyone can race safely,
All right.
not like the one before.
Oh yeah, I mean, like we've seen a lot of dramas, I would say, within this past couple of races before. But yeah, dramas aside, you yourself, your expectations, obviously podium is in sight, right?
Yeah. Just that I can't do anything without luck. So now I need lots of luck from you guys.
All right, great. Now, good luck to you and hope you have a good race.
Thank you, guys.
All right, luck and skill is obviously needed down here, guys.
Luck is
Luck from us?
Well, I think just generally.
We'll try our
luck-
best, but we got to be neutral as much as possible.
As I said, we'd love to give as much luck as possible from the commentary box, and whichever we can, we will. Johnny Z is looking for 15 points. And obviously looking for the double 30 points with race 2 being tomorrow, very early in the morning as well, 9:30. Right now it's just gone past 11:30 Malaysian time. A little bit earlier tomorrow, which might mean it's a cooler race.
Yep.
But he's currently third in the standings on 30 points. Ayub Azli is on 40 ahead of him. And Imran Wafi is topping touring production with 45. So again, there's a 15-point spread there. While we're talking about it and while we have the time, in MTC, 6 points between Hayden Heikel on 49 and Mitchell Chow on 43. In SP1, it's Faris Fauzi on 42, Jesmond Tan on 40, and Pisau Fan on 35. That's a 7-point spread. SP2G, this is brilliant. Timothy Yeo on 37, Amir Harris on 38, and Ian Wong on 39. That's a 2-point spread. And SP2V, Alan Tia, Diego Moran, and Shafiq Shamsuddin. Also a 4-point spread with the top 2, Alan and Diego, tied at 38. That is at 75% of the season done.
And this is what we want, right?
Exactly
Intense
what you want.
competition as we
Yeah.
head towards the finale of the season that's coming up
Totally.
in a couple of months. We want intense competition, we want competitiveness, and at the same time, like Mitchell mentioned, again, he emphasized the point that weather was so crucial, and he was obviously referring to the previous race in round 2.
Yeah, with round 1 and round 2 races every year, there's always something. I remember the time last year, especially Johnny Z was really dominant, and he came out burning tires. He was leaving melted plastic or melted rubber on the track throughout the season. But even he had, I remember, a 7-minute pit stop. Talking about pit stops, there is one pit stop window. It'll open between the 25th and the 40th minute. And in that pit stop window, it's a 3-minute compulsory pit stop. So you can imagine last year, he had a 7.5-minute pit stop. It absolutely cost him the race.
Yeah,
That's
insane.
what we're talking about luck. That may have been a loose bolt. That might have been a ball bearing, something that didn't go right. They couldn't find it in time. 7 minutes taken off his racing time, even though he was putting in unbelievable laps. So it's about, okay, you've got 20 laps in these cars that do roughly 145 on the straight. You've got 20 laps that'll make up the leader plus hour format of it. Of those, 11 or 12 of them you want to hit at 228, ideally 227, and then you're going to be up there and you're in it to win it. If you don't do that, plus have your exact 3-minute pit stop placed at the right time in the window, so you can come in early or you can come in late. If you come in late, of course, all your rivals are coming in a little bit earlier, therefore you do get an advantage. But they do think about their strategies, and the Scuba Racing team and Johnny Z, they did come up with a couple of races there where everything just went clockwork. It couldn't have been planned better.
That's it, right? Perfect strategy from start to finish. But sometimes you can plan and plan, but sometimes, it doesn't really transpire on the track.
That's called life. And that's basically, and that's the wonderful thing. We get up every day, every single one of us, wherever we are around the world, get up every day and we come across life. And, the 2 cars at the front there, at the top you've got the Honda. On the right-hand side, you've got the Honda Civic FD2R, the deep blue from that R Engineering car that used to rule the roost.
Light blue skies right there.
Yes, that's looking absolutely beautiful. As I said, right now, that's the best news that you could have for these drivers, because it means that there is a surface layer of moisture on this track. But remember, there's a lot of drainage at Sepang as well. So over the next half hour, as they go round the 15 corners, there'll be a racing line that will dry up as you go round, and that will mean you can get a bit faster. To be honest with you, and this is just my prediction, I think that in this first race, round 3, race 1, here at 11 o'clock in the morning, with that amount of moisture, I'm thinking 229 is probably the fastest you're going to get. Maybe 229, 230, and you should be in really good stead.
And that's consistent every lap,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be every lap, but if you have the 20 laps, there's Tawad Anwar sitting in that R Engineering car. He's now very used to it. Believe it or not, when he was first signed on, that was a couple of years back, he actually only had about 6 laps training in that car, 6 laps experience in that car before he was racing.
And
So
he's
now
raced a
it's
lot this year. I remember the
has.
last time he came
He
into the
has.
commentary box and he was telling us he had done already 20 races or something. A couple of podiums as well.
Yeah, good solid driver. As I said, what you need to do is have more attributes like Taiwan Anwar, because he'll put in the laps, as I said, of the 20, he can get you a consistent fast lap time for at least 15 of those.
Yeah.
He can put in a burning lap if he needs to, but he's also good at recovery in motorsports, which is if he's holding some kind of mechanical issue, he can push through that, he can drive through it, and he can still get you what you want in the end, which is a consistent podium. He only recently got to the top of the podium, but before that, it's him. There's a couple of other drivers as well in SP1, SP2 that are just always finishing in and around that time. There's our safety cars. You can see the grid is clearing a little bit. You just see in the back of your screen people are leaving, so we should be down to 3 minutes. That's Yokohama, of course, and Advan. Great sponsors for, official partners for the MCS and for the tires. Great tires, actually. And they've been with the championship for quite a while now. And it's good to have that. It's good to have a good family. Those are a couple of birds.
We see them every race, don't we?
No, that's actually, it's good news, because if the birds are out feeding, that means it's not going to rain.
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
Some National Geographic
There you
right
go.
there.
Actually, I got that just from disaster action movies. With, you know, that's how you find. But it is true. Birds, they all know that. They'll be off if there's any kind of rain coming. So there's another huge grid at the Malaysia Championship Series.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers come from Singapore as well. I think Johnny Z is one of them.
Yep,
And
yep.
the last race, I remember him talking about, you know, coming from Singapore.
No
early.
racetrack in
yeah,
Singapore,
no
remember?
racetrack. So
Yeah.
they got to come here, and they got to come here early because they need to test the track and get acclimatized to the weather. So, you know, it's all about sacrifices as well, right? Leaving their families behind and, you know, really focusing on the race that's ahead. And that's a testament to the allure of the Malaysian Championship Series, right?
Absolutely.
You know, bringing in these drivers from all over.
Down to the 1 minute board, and it's also it's very different for Singaporean drivers, because not only is there not a racetrack in Singapore, but you can't actually go fast on roads in
Indeed.
Singapore without some stern penalties. So he must relish coming up to Malaysia, because it's, well,
I'm sure he
it's-
does.
Yeah, it's what he does. So down to the 1 minute board, the safety car now is going to lead us off into the formation lap. And then it's back to racing again. All of these cars, of course, and these teams and drivers will most probably be fielding a team at the upcoming S1K as well, which we will be here for in the commentary box.
Yep. So I think
11 hours of
all of
racing,
that,
or
all of
9
these
hours.
races sort of leads to that S1K as well,
It's
right?
a great calendar.
Yeah,
it's a great calendar
it's-
when it comes to down to it. And, you know, they would love to have it every single weekend. I think every sporting outfit would love to play their sport or race their race every single weekend. But there are other commitments at Sepang. And as they make their way out, start a little bit of serpentine in there just to make sure they can get their heat into those tires and keep that heat going. And as they do, we can just give you a little brief talk through, if of course you are not familiar in any way with the Sepang International Circuit, which I find very hard to believe, because it's been up and running now for over 20 years for a start. And everyone knows it. Race car drivers, not rally car drivers, F1 drivers, they all know this track. And it is wide, it's got good asphalt, it's got a good surface to it. And the real trick is, of course, that little switchback between turns 1 and 2. That catches up pretty much everyone. But saying that, that turn at the back, which is turn 15, that also, if it's in wet weather conditions, that can really catch you out. So we didn't actually get to see that. Let's look at the starting grid. And starting it off, it's the touring production class: Jonathan Z, Tawid Anwar, Umar Abdullah, and Avan Abdullah, Imran Wafi, Shazul Isham, and Ayub Azli. That's the first 3 rows.
And we have Pi Sao Fan, Sim Kwang Tek, Jasmine Tan Yong Chow, Kenu Rata in 9th, Jason Chiao in 10th, Lim Jin Wang 11th, and Hishamuddin and Sahudina.
Chun Tako, Azmi Osmar, 13th and 14th, Mitchell Chia and Nakib Noor Azlan getting into the MTCs now. Liu Wai Chong and Hayden Heikel in 17th and 18th.
Starting in 19 is Leon Koo, followed by Goh Lee Heng, and we have Chin Hua Lip, Te Sin Divira, and He Koi Sen. And moving into the SP2G is Yip Ken Hang and Freddie Young.
So staying with SP2G, Wong Yu Chung, Thomas Yeo, Ng Chong Ching, Adam Mikhail, Lester Neo, and Ong Wai Kwong. That's 29 and 30.
Still staying with the SP2G is Ling Guang Yao, Ian Wong. In 34th is Nick Z, SP2V, Takahashi Oi, and followed by Ayman Hazik and Roger Chiu.
So this is where we're getting into the bigger part of the grid now. 37th is Lo Kent Jun, Lim Yao Huang in 38th, Trey Tan and Leong Jia in 39 and 40, Kenneth Tay and Stuart Hine for Axel Sports in 41 and 42.
In 43, we have the combination of Alex Yong, Daniel Uy, followed by Shafiq Samsudin, Ahmad Nazri, Jason Hu, and Mohammad Hafiz makes up 45, 46, Ronnie Rosman, and Mohammad Najib Ismail in 47th and 48th.
Good to see Ronnie Rosman back in there as well. And Alan Tia, So Chi Chong, and Nico Civelli and Michael Batchley from Axel Sports in 51. So still a pretty big grid if you think about it.
Yeah,
51, indeed. It was 54 was the record.
It's not too far away.
Well, it means, of course, we're going to have a staggered start whenever the grid's that big, for sure. So Touring Production and MTC will go off first, and then SP1 and SP2 will go off second. About roughly 30 seconds between them. I'm sure that's going to happen. So getting down into the back straight now. That's turn 13. In fact, that might be turn 14. There are two paddocks here at the Sepang International Circuit, the north and south. In the starting paddock right at the front home straight. And of course, the circuit can be split into two as well. We're using the full circuit. There's a north circuit and a south circuit. Well, that's interesting, because that looks like the Abdullah's car that's being wheeled off. Now, it's either being wheeled off fully, or it's being wheeled off into the pit where it'll start. Now, it's not so strange for cars to start in the pit lane if there's something that has happened in that car, whether it was a gearbox issue, or even if it just didn't start off the initial grid and make this formation lap, then it can start from the pit lane, but of course it'll be subject to the pit regulations and speeds. We'll keep you updated on anything as we find out about that. As you can see, that back paddock is actually being used for some of the other races. TSS happening today. There's a lot of races that support the Malaysia Championship Series. So, round they come, and I think it should be green lights after this. They round turn 15, that's when the lights go green, as they say. Doesn't look like race control are going to be calling another formation lap. Nope, it is, and that's it. Round 3, race 1.
Here we go.
Malaysia Championship Series is underway. The race clock is ticking in the top left of your screen. And already it's a good start from Tawid Anwar out on the right. That's Johnny Z on the inside line. Braking coming into turn 1. Bit of smoke, and it's, wow, look at that. Our engineering didn't turn.
Right off the curb. That's quite fast by Anwar Avik, actually.
Didn't turn.
Didn't turn, yeah.
Looked like it was a big steering
But
problem.
it's always a tricky corner, isn't it, turn 1? We saw that in the last race
It is,
as well.
but I actually don't think he had a chance at that corner.
Yeah.
I think
It's probably a braking issue that cost
it
it
looks like a
probably
steering
locked.
problem. And you know what the thing is? He's now, looks like he's dug in at the gravel as well. So I did say everything happens in an MCS race, and now that's your first one that you can write down. I will. Well, Tawid Anwar was looking for a good result today. He might now have to just focus on one for tomorrow as the second start happens. SP1 and SP2 off, and that's looking very close coming into turn one. They all do make it round though. That's it, nice and easy. As you can see, Tao Anwar still dug in the dirt. Well, it does say on our computers that he is still up, but I think that was because they crossed the transponder line before he came out. Now let's have a look back at that start. If you have a look at it here, he doesn't get to turn in. He literally drove straight off the track.
Seems like a brake locking issue.
Either a brake or a massive steering problem, and he did well to come off the power. Well, that's tragedy from a very, very significant entrant, because that car, as I've said on so many occasions, has ruled the roost on so many occasions over the last couple of years, and definitely pre-pandemic, that was the car to beat. Right now, that car, the number 50 car, Ayub Azli, is putting in the fastest laps. He just did Sector 1 in 35.1, Sector 2 in 37.8, and Sector 3 in 47.2. That's what we like to call the Purple Heart streak.
Yeah, this seems like a very warm-up lap now. You know, everyone clocking at about 250-ish seconds.
That's not
like you mentioned. He's only going to get faster, right?
It's it'll take 3 or 4 laps before they can really start putting in their fast laps. But immediately you can see Johnny Z and Ayub Azli beginning to tear away in the front of Touring Production.
This is sort of a reflection of what happened in the last race. Ayub Azli leading and Johnny Z trailing.
There were 10 points between them in the standings right now. Well, the official start time has been logged, but also the starting procedure is going to be under investigation. I'm thinking because of that Tao Anwar incident, number 44 car, straight into the gravel, our first casualty of the day, literally before the first corner.
Yeah, exactly. Turn 1 always brings up some surprises of sorts.
Well, that was really turn half, really, because he didn't really, he didn't return 0.5.
He didn't make it into the full
he didn't make it in. That's got to be frustrating for drivers if you just don't get a turn in at all.
Yeah.
After all of that prep and, you know, doing pretty well in qualifying as well. He put in a great qualifying time, 2:28.346, but of course that was with turns.
With turns,
You know,
exactly.
it's completely different when you can't steer. So Ayub Azli right now, and we're expecting him to be in that car to kick it off, has just put in our first decent contender for a lap, 2:42.975, and that is off lap 1. So that is benchmark. Let's see how fast we can go. As I said, I'm expecting it to get down to 2:29 or 2:30 over the next 50 minutes.
Yeah, he's sort of setting a precedent early on, you know, clocking the fastest lap, 2:42. That's 0.2 seconds faster than Johnny Z. Remains to be seen if he can widen that gap as we move along.
Johnny Z can do that. It's whether he'll get the chance to do that. That's the thing. Now, meanwhile, just behind him, let's have a look.
That's P. Saufan.
That is P. Saufan,
Kenu Rata, one of your favorite
Kenu
drivers.
Rata is a huge favorite of mine. I'm one of these sports fans that loves reliability. I don't care what sport you're playing. If you turn up and you can consistently hit the marks, like a Frank Lampard at football, always turns up for business. Kenu Rata does that. So if he doesn't win on the day, then he'll definitely give you what you want. He's very good at attacking, very good at defending, and that's what it's about with touring cars. It's about attacking and defending different lines. Safety car is out, which means it is going to be full course yellow conditions. So all the drivers are going to have to just gear down, pedal down in terms of speed. We've already got Ayub Azli just managed to sneak in yet another fast lap, 2:39.376. That is where we
That's
are
a 0.3 seconds faster than his previous lap.
Yeah, but he means business today.
And we see Johnny Z not too far away. Johnny Z has been pretty consistent first 3 laps. So I think we can see a slight indication of this 2-horse race that's about to unfold in front of us.
Well, this safety car is a bit of a head scratcher right now because I think it's been brought out because of the incident off the start at Tower Downwell, but there wasn't really much in terms of
any debris
contact,
left, or,
debris, oil. So it might just be a precautionary one. It might just be a couple of laps. But obviously, safety is always the priority in any motor racing class.
I don't imagine the safety car being on track more than a lap, right?
It depends. It really depends. I've seen one where it was just that. Well, this was a few seasons back now, 2 or 3 seasons back, but it was bright sun, as is. Everyone was having great interviews on the grid, and then it was just torrential rain to the point where it could have been a boat race. It probably would have been easier to follow if it was a boat race.
Interestingly enough, I was reading some comments on the viewers who were watching on YouTube, and when they were watching the last race, the first race, they were saying they should have just put boats out there. It was just that torrential.
No, I've seen in terms of weather variations at the Malaysian Championship, it pours, and that time it really caught out the drivers so much that at turn 15 there was a constant carousel of, it was like when you're at the airport and luggage is coming off the carousel. Cars were coming off track at 15, just like that, one by one. So before they could even get to the pit lane. So it is good to have these precautions. And as I said, a bit early on for the full course yellow, lap 2, but I'm expecting it to go back green again.
Yeah, after this lap, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult for the drivers as well. You tee yourself up for the start. You put in a couple of fast laps. Look at Ayubazi. You put in a couple of fast laps and then...
Yeah, it's like you've already warmed up, ready to go, and you got to warm down again.
Yeah, you just, that's that psychological edge to it, which you as a driver and you as a person are going to have to get over. The driving skill is one thing. The attacking the racing line is one thing. Defending the racing line is one thing. But getting set up for the speed at which you have to do it, getting set up for delays, whether it's delays off the start or, I've seen races which have been called, where they've had to be restarted. And we're still early enough. The rules around a restart are usually within the first 4 laps. So if anything serious happens, to be honest, in my view, nothing that serious has happened so far.
Yeah, apart from the half turn earlier from
if someone had
Taodanuwa.
a very serious accident, if one of the cars had a very serious shunt and it left a lot of debris and especially oil on one of the faster corners of the track, then it's perfectly within race control's rights to restart the entire race.
Yeah.
So that is, well, that should be Mitchell Chia, if I'm right.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Mitchell Chia.
iRev Dream Chaser, one of the big players, not just in the MTC category this year and before, but also probably, I'm going to stick my head out here, one of the most successful Malaysian touring car drivers I can think of.
Yeah, indeed. And drivers like Michel Chia, all this experience comes into play, right? Especially when you have a safety car situation. You know how to handle it. You know how to prepare yourself for when the safety car goes off and the light turns green and you get to go again. Compared to if you are a newbie, then it's all about getting adjusted and perhaps
it is
getting more input from your technical team.
But there are some things in life which you can only really gauge by doing more and more.
Yeah.
And getting more experience. You can read about it in a book that this happens. You can see it on a diagram. You can even watch a video these days and see these things happening. But when it comes down to it, it's about having a feel and being versatile. So it's not just Johnny Z in the car, and it's the Scuba Racing team as well, that they were ready for this type of race that was going to lead to this pit window, and this might change their pit window strategy.
Yeah,
the fact that he's waiting a bit. But you see what he's doing as he comes into turn 1, he's just keeping it nice and serpentine, just keeping heat into those tires. A lot of drivers do that because they're expecting it to turn green very, very soon. And these laps still get counted, that's the thing.
Yeah, indeed.
Essentially, they are racing laps.
Exactly, yeah.
But you're not allowed to overtake. You're definitely not allowed to overtake the safety car.
So you're just in warm-up mode. Basically, we've had, what, two laps of racing?
Yeah, I've seen...
Third lap of warm-up mode.
I've seen 8 lap, 9 lap FC-wise, full course yellows.
And if you're talking about a Malaysian Championship Series, that's like 1/3, right? If you're having like a...
Absolutely.
essentially.
Well, you see, the trick comes in with the pit window in the middle. Because the pit window, as we've now been told, is going to open in about 9 minutes. And it's going to be open for 25 minutes. Now, we'll get back with more of that right now while these guys get ready to race. We're going to go for a break, so do stay with us.
Yokohama.
Nerves of steel needed in sizzling conditions. It's time to seize the moment in Sepang. It's time to race in Moto GP.
Yokohama.
The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for Trials Grand Prix in Malaysia. And look at Banyaya. He's up to second. Close off. Back at Banyaya. Up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. And how close was that?
To all my fans, this year is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia. 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 Jom ke Sepang, kasih gegar.
Welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit official live stream, and it's Malaysia Championship Series Round 3, Race 1. It's the business end of the championship. So you can see at the top left of your corner, 39 minutes left in this race. We've been in full course yellow conditions, and the reason for that is because there was oil on the track at turn 6. So it actually had nothing to do with Tawhid Anwar going off at turn 1. It was somebody else somewhere that left some oil, and as I said, that is a very dangerous situation by having oil on there, because it does have a knock-on effect. So they have a number of different ways of treating it, and they have this great stuff now. It's like this absorbent sand that they put on the track. And it doesn't take the oil off the track, because that's almost impossible. But what it does do is it gives you that layer of traction between the track and the tire that they can at least get some pickup off.
And just like that, we are already in lap 5.
So yeah, this is now turn 5. This is where the oil would be, on this turn 6. I'm going to watch themselves as they come through. And if you're good, you can see the officials. The pit window will be open soon, and I think, there you go, I think it's just on the inside. You can see it there, that sand. So they're taking a very wide line anyway around that. oil on tires is the worst. It's like putting ketchup on ice cream. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm
And
sure
we've
there's
already
somebody
had,
on
what,
YouTube
4 laps of a safety car?
Yep.
That's got to be
4 laps at 80 kilometers or less.
got to be some
basically,
adjustment for the drivers on track. I'm sure they're all gearing up to get started. But it's, yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Jeff, it has eaten into their laps.
It has. So now you have
pretty
a
much
slightly
considered a warm-up lap, essentially.
it's a slightly different fuel calculation one. It's a slightly different. It might affect your pit stop strategy. As I said, the pit window is open in 5 minutes.
That could come into play very, very significantly because pit window is going to be open in 5 minutes. So it's a matter of if you're going to come in straight away and then get going all the way till the end, or you're going to hold it out a bit longer.
Yeah, see, now you have a 16-lap race essentially, especially with the FCY turning up so early, and there wasn't really much racing done beforehand. Then you have almost a slightly extended grid that, you know, with Ayubazli as he's already put in these fast laps. So 16 laps, are you going to try and stretch it? I wouldn't try and stretch it, to be honest. I would maybe move my entry into the pit window by a couple of laps and see. But your entry into that pit window is also not just dependent on what you need, it's dependent on what your rivals are going to be doing as well.
Yeah,
so if someone like Johnny Z is on an absolute blinder and he's behind you and he comes in with a good strategy, then you might be better off mirroring that strategy as opposed to
opposing and to go in at another time, right? I think it's crucial that you continuously keep sight of your closest competitor, especially early in the race. You don't want to, try and adopt another strategy and then, if it differs, it could go all wrong.
Absolutely. So I'm assuming that with that oil being taken care of at turn 6, we still don't know which car it was that was responsible for that. No fingers are going to be pointed, of course. It's, it happens to absolutely everyone.
It's all part of the race.
But the cars now, you can almost feel a little bit of a buzz of excitement about them as they, as you said, after driving around for 4 laps, just looking at the wonderful architecture of the signature grandstand at 15, because that's what you're doing, and wondering, why did we do all this preparation if this is what I'm doing? Now you're about to get to racing.
Yeah, indeed. We are already in a quarter of, full course yellow mode, and that essentially will be taken into account in the bigger context of this race, that, full course yellow was a significant part of the first quarter of the race.
The sad thing is that you can't really train for it. It's not like football where there's a set piece and you can sit down and go, if we get in this situation, then we can do this. You essentially have to wait, as you said. You're put into a pattern of waiting. So really the test is in the heads of the drivers as to when they can get on. I've seen situations where our drivers are penalized because they got back on the acceleration too quickly after the full course yellow. It wasn't quite over yet, and they went for the overtake, and they got pulled into all sorts of trouble there. So I'm fully expecting the safety car to come in at the end of this lap. That's not a premonition, by the way. They've actually told us that, so we know that's going to happen. I like to, there you go. Now they've told you as well. So it's not, it wasn't like I looked into a crystal ball or anything and I said, well, I have a funny feeling based on the way the safety car is driving, it's coming in. So that means that situation at turn 6 seems to be resolved. Now they're at turn 9 and 10. Strangely enough, this is the part of the course where you usually see a lot of incidents. Turn 6, not really. That's very odd. Talking of that wonderful architecture for the grandstands, you can just see in the background as well. I do love this circuit.
Yeah, it's freshly resurfaced as well earlier this year.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Testament to the work that SIC have put in to ensure
which they do every year.
Top track.
I said there's a really good team of people here that are working round the clock. It's not just about hosting all these different championships from around Asia to have come down to race here. It's also about putting fresh asphalt on, getting the drainage sorted out, and as you said, getting those those grandstand canopies sorted out. So half an hour left of real racing in this round 3, race 1. And this is where the safety car is going to peel in, and as they get round turn 15 this time, it's going to be pedal to metal. Ayub Azli can't wait.
And here we go. It's actually round 2 again, the round 2 of race 3.
Well, this rolling start is going to be a little bit different, but that's the thing with full course yellows. Johnny Z now has every opportunity to catch up and take Ayub Azli, because you could even argue that the full course yellow, and he's already trying on the inside at turn 1. He's wasting absolutely no time.
No time
He's
to be
round.
wasted.
He's got round there. Unbelievable. That was his plan right from the beginning. So that full course yellow has really helped him out. And on lap 7, we have a new leader. Bit harsh on Ayub.
That was strategy executed to perfection, right? He just waited and waited, took his chance on the turn.
Well, this is going to be really good now, because Ayub is going to go straight onto the gas. He's now
Gets him
trying
back out
turn
on the
5.
outside.
He has to get half a car length across if he's going to dominate and capture that racing line. Pit window is open. Notice all the cars that are coming straight in while this battle royal is happening at the front.
I don't imagine both these cars coming into the pit window anytime
Not just
soon.
yet.
Yeah, not just yet.
Well, Johnny Z ducking in at turn 1 was the best possible thing that could happen for this race, because now, as you can see, they're already pulling away as they come up to 9 and 10. A lot of water there still on that corner. Johnny is literally not having any of it. He's even trying on the outside at turn 10.
A great defending there by Ayub
That's not
Azli.
going to happen.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
great
happen.
defending. He shuts him off again.
He's now looking on the inside, and these two cars are almost tied.
Oh,
with
that
the
Honda is
string.
brilliant in shutting him off. He's done so well, Ayub Azli, to not only get back the lead, but just close the openings that Johnny Z is trying to
He's
probe
fast.
for.
Not only is he fast, that number 50 City Racing car has been set up to be fast as well. So a little bit of daylight there as they come into the back straight. And Johnny, for the first time, he's tried it every single turn, but is now going to have to wait a little bit longer.
But this is what the fans are tuning in to watch. Exciting race between two fierce competitors. This is what we want to see.
Okay, so Johnny now having another look on the inside. Now, while Nick, you just keep an eye on those two as he looks on the inside on 15 as well. You know what? I think he may have just got that. Now it's all down to straight line speed. Nope. He's going to duck down in behind Ayub again. And just before I go through the classifications as they stand on lap 8 for each of the classes, let's see what happens at turn 1. Has a little look on the outside. Little look on the inside. Ayub cuts off the line. That's perfect. A bit of contact.
Again, brilliant defending. He does it both equally impressive, both on the outside and the inside.
That is beautiful defending, it has to be said. So that is, we're going to have to check. Remember, there
49, that's Ong Wai Kong.
That's very well spotted there, Nick, from such a huge grid. We have a big list. You have to understand, people have a big list of people, of drivers in front of us. Now, meanwhile, while that's happening, as I said, we're just going to go through the classification. So you've got Ayub Azli and Jonathan Z, Pisau Fan, well, actually Imran Wafi. Those are the top 3 in touring production, and they're 1st, 2nd, and 4th in the overall classification. Pisau Fan is leading Ken Urata and Jesmond Tan and Shazul Hisham in SB1, and that's 3rd, 5th, 6th and 8th in terms of the overall classification. Mitchell Chia is ahead of Hayden Heichel. Now remember that they were just 6 points between each other at the start of this race, and so, well, Mitchell Chia is going to overtake him if he stays there. Mitchell Chia, Hayden Heichel, Lee Wai Chong and Nakib and Nabil Aslan in 4th spot in MTC. SP2G currently being headed up by Yip Kian Heng, Adam Mikhail and Liu Kawai, that's Eddie Liu. SP2V, that's Takashi Oi from R-Works Rios, that's leading that. ahead of Tan Wulon from the Bay Racing Team, the Salt Bay Racing Team.
While you were going through the classifications, Chief, this action has not let up at all.
I didn't expect it to.
Ayub Azli has been magnificent in shutting Jonathan Z, and I just thinking about the strategy deployed by both these racers, right? What do you think? Is it more challenging to defend, or is it more challenging to keep attacking and putting the pressure?
It is a bit of this and a bit of that, really. I mean, I think I look at it as to what's more important. They say in boxing, it's not necessarily how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit. And that's where it really comes from. Defending a line, there are certain drivers like Ken Urata, as I said, that are so good at it that they can hold you behind. So Ayub's just come in to the pits in the pit window. Remember, he has to, because the pit window is only open for another 8 minutes. So this is right in the middle of that window. But defending a line, if you're very good at it, then you can hold up an entire grid of cars behind you. Anyone can go fast.
Yeah,
anyone can put pedal to the metal, find that line, go in on the outside, and really risk whatever you can. Johnny Z is actually good at both, but I would say he's a little bit better at attacking than defending. And that's why, as you saw, Ayub took back the lead after he took it right from the start. Now that he's up front and he's staying out of the pit window a bit longer, he has a very good chance of winning this race. If that car can stay reliable, that car can keep pinging the corners. I'm going to guess, look, I just looked at the screen. He's just put in the fastest lap, 2:38.468. Absolutely what I expected from him. So we've already outdone. Well, actually, I said it was going to be a 2:29. I think I might be off on that. There might be too much water on that track.
Well, there's still 26 minutes left.
There's 26 minutes left, but also the full course yellow. If we'd had those extra 4 laps to speed up, then we would have done it. Now I'm going to estimate. I'd say Johnny Z out the front like this. That could be a 2:34 or a 2:35. But while he's doing that, let's get down to the pits with Mio, who's talking to one of the drivers.
All right, guys, now I'm down here at the pits. We are down here together with Daniel, car number 21, SP2. Mate, the driving conditions earlier today, how was that?
It was very challenging. It's very slippery, it's wet, there are oil leaks, and then we have cars spinning here and there. So even though if you're not spinning, someone's spinning in front, then you have to, brake, and then you might spin as well. So yeah, I met twice. So yeah, it's very challenging. So yeah, we're trying to find the right line to take during this situation. Yeah, so let's hope my teammate can do.
and especially at the start just now, especially at turn 1, when all the cars were gunning for that turn 1, in wet, there were a bit of bumper to bumper, there was a bit of the yellow flag actually came out.
Right.
So were you in the middle of that, or where were you during all of that?
I was avoiding that. Yeah.
So how do you manage to avoid that?
I don't go for the turn 1. Yeah, because things always happen at turn 1. Everyone's trying to go for the spot. But then I realized that you don't do that. I mean, unless you are you have the opportunity. So I try not to do that, especially on turn 1.
So now the fact that you're out of the car, now it's your partner Alan is in the car right now. Yeah. How do you think that he will do in the second half of the race today?
Right, Alex is very good in the wet, so I reckon he's going to pick up a lot of spots. So yeah, let's see whether we can reach to the top 3, and then that will be a bonus. Yeah,
definitely. We'll wait and see. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Welcome.
Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Mio. Well, interesting insight there, Nick. As to people that are just saying, you know what, I just want nothing to do with turn 1. Yeah. I'm just not doing it.
We were talking about it, and now we get insights as to what actually transpired down there, right? Oil leaks all over, struggling to keep the car in line. That's a different challenge altogether.
I said you don't want to spin. When you do get in a racing car, there are so many other things that can happen other than it just go forward or back, or and you don't want any of that to happen. Especially that should be Ken Urata. Am I right? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is in second place right now.
In a situation like this, in an isolation drive, Ken Urata will just immediately go into his default mode, which is, I will get you a decent lap time. Yeah. That's what makes him a valuable driver to a team, because he might not be the fastest driver and he might not win, but in any given situation, as we said earlier during the full course yellow, it's about being versatile, knowing what you need to do then. So he's now, as you can see, picking the perfect line through turn 9 and turn 10. And he will keep doing that until he gets into a situation where he needs to attack or defend. And then almost like a loyal kind of driver, he will just immediately throw himself into that situation. He's not scared of much. He knows how to push the limit. And in this kind of situation, let me just check exactly where he is. He's now 2nd overall. He's lapping at 2:39. And while that happens, let's get down to the pit again, because Mio is talking to Imran Wafi, if I'm right, who is topping the touring production standings as it stands right now.
All right, guys, now once again, I'm here down in the pits. We have the gentleman over here, Imran Wafi, car number 29 out there. Wet race. That's the only thing I can ask, with the fact that it was a bit of a wet race at the start. Yeah. How was that for you, man?
It was quite a reminiscent from the last round,
of
so
course.
I took precautions, obviously.
All right.
I didn't expect safety car after the first lap.
Yeah.
And I think that somewhat helped us because we were like playing really conservatively because it's a wet race and we've learned from the last round. So now it's my teammate in the car, and I think everything should go well. Now we are in, I'm not sure what position, I think it's third. So we'll try to fight for second, but I think we see the condition first because it's on and off rain.
Right. So are you more of a wet driver kind of guy or a dry? Which one would you prefer then?
The easier driving is dry, but I think where all the cars are quite equal is in the wets.
Right.
So honestly, it depends on the setup, but what I hate is the dry and wet track makes both like now. So I guess as a driver, I have to adapt really fast.
Sure.
So the easiest way is dry, but the most comfortable is wet.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I know that people understand that it is a wet race, then they have to be extra careful, they have to not be too gung-ho. But for you yourself, like you said, people are a bit conservative, people can't be too aggressive.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that, isn't it?
It's quite as simple as that, but you need to realize when the track dries up. If you keep on being conservative, then it's going to fall back.
Sure. So now the fact that your partner is now running the car number 29, how do you think he'll fare?
I think he should perform quite well. I think he will do consistently because the track is drying up. Even though there's a blown engine at turn 6, I think it's still okay.
Okay. All the best to you. Hope to see you on the podium, man.
All right, thank you.
All right. Cheers. Guys, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Neil. Now that's a really good insight there in terms of, you know, between dry and wet, as we were saying, that's one thing. But when you've got a track that's both dry and wet, then you've really got to start picking your battles.
Exactly, and switching from being conservative to aggressive, like in an instant. You can't. Yeah. There's no time to be wasted because if not, like he mentioned, you're going to be left behind.
So as we get into the business end of this round 3, race 1, just 20 minutes left of race time, and if you think about it, they are lapping at just over 2 minutes. So, oh, there's a big shunt. Well, that's a scuba racing car that's not going to go very far. The entire front right of that car is completely
the entire
knocked
front bumper,
out.
It's taken out
now,
the
this
right
might
tire as
lead
well.
to, believe it or not, a second. Look at that.
Indeed.
That's a turn 15.
That's debris. That's a lot of debris
That's
on the
smashed
track.
up. Wow, that's going to take, if that was our cars at home, that's going to take a good couple
And we are
of
looking
months.
at Hu Jian Li, I believe, who's in that car from the scuba racing team.
That is going to lead to a second full course yellow. Now, we talked about earlier the permutations of having one full course yellow for 4 laps. And you think, okay, now I've reset my strategy based on that for 4 laps. But what about this? Now, for the next 20 minutes, they might literally be locked up again. And it might come down to one of those really dangerous situations where you've only got about 2 or 3 laps to race at the end.
And we've also got an incident in turn 15.
Yeah,
between,
huge one between 3 cars.
3 cars, yeah, indeed.
And
so this is going to shift the dynamics of the race as well.
This goes back to having a dry and wet track. And you're on a certain compound of tire, you're in a certain wet tire, you know, so when there are patches where you're losing traction, there's patches where you're doing fine. And so if you get into one of these tough parts of the track, say around 9 and 10, where it goes slow and then starts getting fast again, then that's when this kind of problem. And I said that's at turn 15, so that is one of the biggest. You're coming off one of these signature straights, and as I said, there's just a lot of runoff there. But if you get that wrong, that's a whole new way of getting downforce. Look at that. There's the on-track experiment that shows you that you can't just add aero to your car, because it's just going to really screw things up. Well, I did say everything happens in a Malaysia Championship Series race, and I'm actually going to extend that to saying everything happens in a touring car race, because of all the classes in motorsports, touring cars are the ones where your power to weight ratio is being thrown all over that car. And so when you get big corners like this, you add the environment as well, then you have cars that are essentially, you're just throwing them into the line, into turn 1. You can't change that line after that. It's not an F1 car. You can't just point and shoot and go wherever you want to go. You're committed to that line. And as we've seen, things can happen. That's Ken Urata coming in for his compulsory 3 minutes drop. Once again, as you can see, bang on exactly where he's supposed to be. He's now overall winner, overall leader as well. And he's in the pits, so he is, well, he's going to lose that to Chao Tek Seong.
And I think there may have been a change in driver as well after Ayub Azli came into the pits.
There was.
We could see Kifli Othman now, right?
Yep, Ayub should be, Ayub came in and came out. Jonathan Z's a solo driver.
Yeah.
Recently, solo drivers have been doing quite well at MCS, but Kifli Othman should now be in that car. I do it all the time. I'm always calling out drivers that may or may not have changed. Really, it's about the City Racing team, and it has happened. I said 234 was the new target. Johnny Z has just put in 234.832, and I really don't think we're going to see faster than that in these conditions. But he is absolutely adamant that he wants to be up front and get 15 points off this first race. Don't forget, 15 points also available in the second race. Just found out that there were a couple of cars that were, well, a little bit...
3 cars specifically.
Yep, they were they were off their full course yellow strategies, if you could say, or flexibility. Because they're overtaking on the yellow. That's actually really serious, so they can get a stop and go penalty for that easily. And it doesn't matter the circumstances, that's just them. So Ken Urata is now back out on track, and he's making his way through the back markers.
That's a pretty fast pit, because he came in later than Jonathan Z and also Ayub Azli. And he's back out, and he's in front at the moment.
Well, you know, Ken would love to win the overall classification, but he doesn't need to. What he needs to win is SP1, and so he's now both. He's now holding both titles. He'll be happy even if he drops down to 3rd or 4th and is still topping SP1, and leave the touring productions to go off and do their own, because they should power through. Ken is lapping at 2:44 at SP1. Johnny Z is lapping at 2:34, 10 seconds faster with 15 minutes left. That's 15 minutes is essentially 6.5 laps. So he could easily come through. If you know that's going to happen, then let it happen. You're not going to fight the impossible. What Ken has to do is think about his reliability, and if he can finish in the top 3, he'll be very, very happy. Another fast lap, or no, it's the same one, 2:34.832. Johnny Z still ruling the roost. That is the fastest that we've seen so far. Lap 12.
There he is, Johnny Z.
He's going to take it really easy now. And when I say really easy, I mean 95%. You don't need to go 100% if you're not under pressure. So 95% means you're still getting a fast enough lap, you're still coming through, but you are at least holding that 5%. There's confirmation of that fastest lap as well. You're holding that 5% for accuracy, for reliability, and you're not pushing the car too much, because he needs, as we said at the beginning of this race, this 15 points.
Yeah, indeed.
To
He's
really
come so
set
close
up.
on so many occasions.
Yeah, if he's going to go for the title, because he didn't get the title last year, That was Yuzaidi Supanga, if I'm right. One of the most improved new additions, debut drivers in the season. But if Johnny wants to win it this year, then he's going to have to at least get a win today and hopefully a second or a third tomorrow. Pull out 25, 27 points from it. There's Ken Urata, now second in class. He's settled in behind Johnny Z, as I said. And he's going to be looking just to top SP1. And from this position, that's what I said before. He will now defend this position. I will not. So we just found out that it's a stop-and-go penalty for that car that
crashed out earlier, the one which left.
Yeah,
all
Hu
the
Jianli,
debris.
the Scuba Racing Team SP2V was deemed to be the instigator in that incident. And so it gets a stop-and-go penalty, which is, it's a 19-second stop-and-go penalty as well, and that is crippling.
It's got to take a large chunk out of your
Because it's not just the 19 seconds. It's not just the 19 seconds. It's slowing down into the pit lane. It's stopping for 19 seconds. It's starting, and then the rest of it. So all in all, that's just going to be a lot of time that's added on there.
But I think like for the likes of Ken Urata and even Johnny Z that we see, even Mitchell Chia, you know, sometimes pursuing on a solo drive is so much more rewarding in terms that it gives you a one-track mind in the strategy that you want to deploy as compared to having a partner.
Yeah, it's different. You can see this as double the pressure or half the pressure, because racing regulations up at Sepang and generally around the world are you can't race continuously. So for 40 minutes of every hour, that's the maximum amount of time you should be racing. So if you have a partner in any type of race, then it's very easy to keep that format going, because the other guy can come and sit in and you're out. For Johnny, he has to come in for the pit stops and stop every 40 minutes. He doesn't have that time to recoup his brain and to rethink, okay, what am I going to do the next half, because he's immediately out on the gas. He loves it. He's self-confessed motorsports petrol head, whatever you want to call it. But the pressure and the psychological strain of it is always different if you're a solo driver. I'm a big fan of solo drivers. I think it's great, but I'm a big fan of solo everything, really.
And it's working like a charm for him. If you look at the top left of your screen, Johnny Z is currently holding a 10-second lead over Ken Urata.
Yeah, and that's not even in his class.
Exactly.
Basically, he's holding a much bigger lead over the second touring production car, which is Kifli Othman, who, even though he's fast, is now 12.177 seconds behind Johnny Z, with 10 minutes left to go. And both of them lapping at 2:37. So that's the fastest you possibly can lap on this race track right now. And he's not making any ground up. So this could go on till the end.
So could we see Johnny Z finally get right on top of the podium?
I've said that before.
In the next 10 minutes.
He's been on top of the podium before, not this year, but he's been on the podium before. He would love to for that to happen.
Yeah,
obviously.
this year I think it's been sort of almost there, but not quite there.
Yeah, he'd love for that to happen. You know, I don't like to talk about it because I've also seen him retire on the last lap, so I don't. When it comes down to reliability, what you don't want is to grind to a halt within the last 2 laps after you put in a really, really good lap. So that is number 75. That looks like an SP2. It is, and that should be Yi Yen Jen from Bay Racing Team. Currently running 14th in class in SP2G. So that should be Taekian Bun behind that, the Singaporean driver. Shafiq Shamsuddin, I'm guessing, as well. That's right at the tail of the field. Another fast lap is in, 2:33.395. That's also Johnny Z, so he's upped it by half a second.
Speaking of Johnny Z, if he's just clocked his fastest lap yet, 2:33. That was a 2:34 earlier.
Yeah, so he's getting faster for this last part, even though he I said nobody's really catching him in terms of this race. So he might use this last, well, 3.5 laps with 8 minutes left to go. 1 hour plus leader is the format, traditional format here. Remember, Johnny Z was 15 points behind Imran Wafi at the start of this race. Imran Wafi is 4th in class, so he'll be picking up, I think, 15, 12, 10, 8 points. But it's going to be a huge boost for Johnny Z if he can get this 15 points in the bag.
Yeah, I just wondered what happened to City Racing and Kifli Ottoman since the pit. They've not really come back to contention, you know. We saw earlier how Ayub Azli did such a magnificent job to hold off Johnny Z, especially in the opening parts of the race.
There might be some problems with that.
But ever since they pitted, well, Kifli is still in 4th place overall, 2nd in the touring production. But he seems to have lost ground on Johnny. In fact, if you look at the overall standings, he's trailing him by a whole 16 seconds.
Yep, it's 2:37, and that's the thing. If you look at this last lap, the track has dried up enough that Johnny has essentially shown you can put a 2:33 down.
Yeah.
And with some drivers like Mark Darwin and Kifli Othman especially, as soon as they know that, they'll go and do that. So if Kifli can't hit a 2:33 in that car, then you have to say that there is something up with that car.
Yeah, I've just been keeping my eye on Kifli Othman, and he's been lapping at
he might be stuck.
57.
He might be stuck behind some back markers and not being able to get the racing line that he needs, because you do need to have a clear. Like in this situation here, you've got Ken Arata up front, and it's a lot easier for him to get. Well, not these two. I think it's just behind him. But it's a lot easier for him to get onto that racing line if there's nobody in front of you. Might be the situation. We'll see. Ken Arata's just put in a 2:35. Johnny Z is also put in a 2:35. So those are the top two. And we've got roughly 3 laps left in this race. Yep, lap 16. So I'm expecting a lap 19 race based on these times. Generally speaking, MCS races between 19 and 21 laps.
I think, like some of the drivers mentioned earlier, now everybody's got to be in aggressive mode. You know, the track is dry. You know, last
You've got no
couple
excuse
of laps
now.
left.
And with, as I said, if it's the last 5 laps, you should always be pushing it to the max. Unless, of course, you're picking in a. Well, this is interesting. I mean, this is incredibly interesting because I just saw that. I just got to check this. Just for a second, it said Tawid Anwar was back on track and put in a 2:33.198. It hasn't registered anymore. I don't know if that was a glitch.
I don't think I saw him.
I don't know if that was a glitch in the matrix. But as far as I know, Tawid Anwar is not on this track.
Yeah, right after the race started, right?
Oh, but he's just gone pink again. I'm sorry, he's just gone pink again in Sector 2. So I don't know if they fixed up that car, but it says that he's running 5th in touring production, 35th overall, put in a 2:34.954 and a 32-second Sector 1. So maybe they're just testing out the car, who knows. But that transponder is on the move.
Yeah, just for the sake of finishing off the race.
Well, they have to get it ready.
Tomorrow,
I mean,
right?
there's not going to be much time before the turnaround tomorrow. And that's what people have to understand. During the pandemic years, when they were running 2 races a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, if anything happened to your car in the morning, you'd have literally an hour and a half to fix that car up to race standards to get them up for the afternoon. Now, with the race starting at 9:30 tomorrow morning, that means that they haven't got much time even with just today. And as much testing as he can put in, they will look for. Johnny Z's looking to end this race on a high. He's now burning around the track again. Put in a very fast Sector 2 and Sector 3.
Yeah, he's maintained this consistency of 2:33, 2:34. He's not dipped
So
any lower.
2:33.277 is going to be, I think, the fastest. Now, if it had been a bit drier, and if we hadn't have had the 4 laps for the full course yellow, you would hit a 2:29.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So hopefully tomorrow it's going to be a bit of a sunny morning, and it'll still be a bit cooler, of course, being that early, but maybe you can get into those rarefied heights of 2:26, 2:25. Have to get very, very fast for that. But my performances as we get into this last, or close to the last lap, Ken Urata, standout performer today.
Yeah, Ken Urata, very fast lap.
Very well.
Very fast lap. He came in and he came out, did his job well. Jonathan Z looks like he's alone out there.
Johnny Z, I will say, shouldn't have lost the lead to Ayub when he took the lead after the full course yellow. That really, you know, he was then caught in that battle, and then the pit window turned up. So he was lucky that that car, the number 50 City car, seems to have a bit of a speed issue today. He's capitalized on it. He's going to win from here, I'm sure of that, if his car has the reliability. And so we've just been told that he is coming into his last lap now.
And it was a great strategy during his pit as well, right? He came in and he came out, and after that he was just basically on his own.
And look at the way he's cutting through the back markers here as well. He's being very careful about it. There is race etiquette here. If you are being lapped, you're supposed to get yourself off the racing line, let the leader go through. He's taking his time about it. He's not under pressure.
Yeah, not
you don't
under pressure
want
at
to, you know, as I said, get into any banana skins or anything like that now. Just taking it easy. This will be his last lap that he's coming into. So this isn't the last lap, but when he gets around turn 15 now, that was well done. Get in front of those back markers. So now he's completely clear, and then we should see the last lap board. There it is. So he is 15 corners away from 15 points. And that's got to be a good feeling. Ken Urata still in there. As I said, he's put a very good day's work in for the team, and he's managed that car. That's the word I haven't used before. Managed. However, the car that he's been given.
Yep.
You know, there are so many stories in motorsport about people doing that. I remember that the great Ayrton Senna once drove the last 5 laps of Interlagos with, he could only turn basically one way. And he was doing it, he was holding that car together, and he still won it. Now that is an extreme situation to have to deal with. In terms of touring cars, you might have a little knock, a little niggle. As we said, the number 50 City car right now, probably not as fast as it could be, so maybe they're managing something there. Ken Urata, you give him any ingredients, he'll come up with a pizza. Simple as that. Something you can eat.
Yeah, it's very consistent drive throughout this race. And he's just put himself out there, you know, he's got into that second place and he's never let up.
So as it happens, and as we get into the last lap, let's just go through the classifications once more. Johnny Z well on his way with a 2:36.196 as his last lap to winning in touring production, taking the overall. Ken Urata finishing in second, will top SB1 ahead of Jesmond Tan and Pisau Fan and Baron Sim, who's in the car right now. Ayub Azli, by the way, coming in second for touring production. Shazul Isham and Empire M Racing, good finish on the cards for them in third. The big fight in MTC, Mitchell Chia is ahead of Hayden Heikel in second. There's 3 seconds between them. That's not going to be filled up, of course, now. Sorry, I just had to stop because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars that overtook under full course yellow.
They just couldn't wait.
they just could not wait after those 4 laps. As we keep going, so after Hayden Heikel and Mitchell Chia, Mitchell Chia and Hayden Heikel, it's Lee Wai Chung, the Aslan brothers in 4th and 5th, or 3rd and 4th, I should say, in MTC. SP2G, Adam Mikhail, Timothy Yeo, and Eddie Liu. And we're coming up to the checkered flag right now in SP2V. Alex Young and Daniel Uy are going to be winning that one, which is great for them. Fantastic. Ahead of Takashi Oi and Someya Futoshi. So here is the checkered flag. And Johnny Z has done the business, as we say.
Redemption complete.
Not complete. Redemption complete will be tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow
But you know,
morning,
he
if
did
you
so
pull the
well
whole
compared to
thing.
the last race. I think it's redemption of sorts, especially
Oh, yeah,
after trailing for big parts and ended up second. And this time around, he's just basically pretty much nailed it from start to finish.
Well, he had a bit of a scare with.
I think there was only
Ayub
one
Azli.
part where Ayub Azli, you know, had his moments shutting him off, where he was really aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Towards
Absolutely.
the start. But
And
after pitting, it was pretty much Johnny Z taking it all the way home.
And what it does is it means it really sets up tomorrow morning's race very, very well. You know, you've got a lot of these battles in the championship that are still evolving.
We're going to see this man though tomorrow. Mitchell Chia sort of been in the background today.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's in the background, but he's going around to win right now. This is going to be his full 15 points. He was 6 points behind Hayden Heikel, so he has done the business today. And now the ball is in, if you could say ball, is in the court of Hayden Heikel. What he doesn't want to do is lose even more points. Hayden will be getting 12 points off this, so really the net gain has only been 3 points for Mitchell Chia, but you can just see how happy some of these finishers are. Such a big grid that we have had.
And Johnny Z was so comfortable, he took it so easy in the final lap that he lapped 239.
Smart driving, that's exactly what it is. You know,
just didn't want to rush anything, knowing that he had all the time in the world to take his time and yet finish in a comfortable fashion.
You know, this is no disrespect to young drivers. I think they're obviously the future of the sport. But young drivers tend to just go fast every lap. They want to go fast from the beginning. You put them in the car, they go fast, that's it. The experienced drivers, the elder drivers, the veteran drivers know when to go fast. There's a difference. They, as I said with Ken Urata, they know when they can go full out, and then they have this extra level where they can drop down and go into efficiency, economy mode. And that is good for your car. Because, as I said, you don't want to push the engine too much, and if you can add defensive and attacking skills to that, then you have the perfect driver.
Yeah,
and so Ken
all
Urata
about
said he's done very well.
all about taking care of the engine, like you said. I think, like in the instant of Jonathan Z, not much work to be done ahead of tomorrow.
No, not much. Johnny Z's problems, if he's had them in the last 3 years, have been from reliability. They've been from, as I said, things like 7 minute. He's had some unbelievable problems. 7 minute pit stop. He had no idea that was happening. And it was tragic to see his race then drop off while he's just sitting in the pits. There was nothing he could do about it. So today everything's worked out perfectly for him. He went in a bit later, remember, for the pit stop window, and that worked out well for them. It's just that he had a great idea after the full course yellow to jump in front of Ayub Azli. If he just held on to that and kept Ayub behind him, then I think it would have been the only other thing he could have done better today.
Yeah.
So as they come into Parc Fermé, that for me, again, is the car and driver of the day. Even though he didn't win the overall classification, Ken Urata has put in, yet again, another solid, reliable, efficient,
can see how happy
if I may say so, Japanese performance. That's
Japanese efficiency at its best.
That's how I see Japan. It's how I see, you know, so much about Japan. It's just so efficient, and it just does the job that it's supposed to do. And we're all set up for tomorrow morning's race, which is going to be bright and early, of course, hoping the rain didn't really prove that much of a...
We got to check weather conditions.
Well, you know,
I think
as I said, it was sunny, and then it suddenly started raining. And the amount of moisture that comes down here in Southeast Asia at the equator means that, there he is, the silver fox, I call him. As you can see why, there you go, he's proved it. Yeah, brilliant race from him, once again. So as the technicians and officials come through, as I said, there wasn't much moisture that was put on the track in the end. It did dry out pretty quickly as well. Still more races to come this afternoon. They're going to benefit from, you can see Hayden Heichel just joining the train there at the back.
Yeah, I think all drivers have finished. We've had the whole field. A couple of DNFs, but yeah, all in all,
for such a big grid, for 51 cars to have 5 that didn't make it, and that was Marble Racing, the 117, when we saw what happened to the front of that car. Empire M Racing, once again, I told you, they have reliability issues. Piston Project and Bank BJB Delta Garage, they were the 5 that went. Here's the final results from it. Touring Production, Johnny Z with a fantastic performance there. 101.17. Shazul Hisham comes in second for Empire Racing, so that is brilliant for them. Ayub Azli in the end, Kifli Othman in third. City Racing with 12 points there. And moving through it, oh, that's the Scuba Racing team there. See, it's not just one person. There's loads and loads of them.
Well, he wanted luck, right, at the start of the race before it started, and he got all of it. I think some of what we spoke of rubbed on him as well.
Definitely, I think there's a lot of things that he probably didn't want to happen. So Ken Urata comes out on top for SP1, Jesmond Tan in second, Pisao Fan in third, Jason Chow, Hishamuddin, Chuntako up to 6th, Lim Jin Guang and Azmi Omar up to 8th. And we should be getting the MTC and SP1 results as well. And here's MTC, as you can see, that confirms it. Mitchell Chia and Hayden Heichel, up at the top, 11 seconds between them this time, and they've been having just such a great battle all season. Li Waikong, the Aslan brothers in 4th, Leon Koo in 5th, Go Li Heng in 6th, Danny Chin, Tae Sin and Hugh Koi Sen up to 9th. Well, I can hear Mia on the podium. There is that winning car. High Rev Dream Chaser, a very successful team over the last 3 or 4 years. And looking at SP2G, Adam Mikal, Timothy Yeo, Eddie Liu, Wong Yu Chung, Ng Chong Ching, Lester Neo, Ian Wong, Lo Ken Jun, Yip Kian Hung in 9th, and Kent Leong in 10th for Scuba Racing Team. So Scuba Racing Team with a good few cars on the grid and in the top 10 at least. But that's what you can aim for. You can aim for the top 3, you can aim for the top 10. Either way, it's a pretty good turnout. This is the other half of that SP2G. Kenneth Tay, Lim Yao Huang, Nick and Lo, Ling Guang Yu, Ayman Haziq and Ong Wai Kwong up to 16. And for SP2V, Alex Young there and Daniel Uy, we heard from a little bit earlier. They get 15 points. Arworks Rios in 2nd, Najib Ismail in 3rd, Sochi Chong, Ronnie Rossman in 5th, Stuart Hine, Alan Tia 6th and 7th, Nico and Michael in 8th, and Trey and Justin in 9th, and Mohammed Hasif in 10th. And Jason Hu and Shafiq Shamsuddin round off that category. Well, what a day it's been, hey Nick, and looking back at that race, well, as I said, it started off with a dry, wet situation, and this was a very interesting start. You can see Jonathan Z on the inside, Ayub Azli just taking up position just behind him, but have a look at this deep blue car on the left side of your screen, because it does what no other racing car does, which is go straight and not turn at that turn. Straight on, tried it, you can see the wheels turning, just didn't work out for Tawid Anwar today, and he's going to be looking for a much bigger race tomorrow morning. That led to Ayub Azli taking the lead as Tawid Anwar was wheeled away. The safety car came on after just 1 lap, and it was on for 4 laps due to some oil on turn 6. When racing restarted on lap 7, Johnny Z wasted no time in ducking in on the inside, and it was this huge battle with Ayub Azli for the next few laps. Before they both came in for the pit windows. They would change drivers, of course. There was a lot of bump and grind, shall we say, not just from the turn 6 oil, but throughout all 4 classes, Ken Urata came through as a very solid and stable performer. That was the other scuba racing team car, and you can see a lot of, that has to make me laugh. That was a flying car. Then in the end, it would be a very good performance from the top two. Mitchell Chia also just pipping Hayden Heichel, this time in MTC. Ken Urata would come through. That's him defending the line as he always does. Ken Urata topping SP1. Johnny Z with a very fast 2:33. That's going to be the benchmark for this weekend as we start tomorrow's race bright and early. Taking the checkered flag, well, this is the last lap. There he is, taking the checkered flag, and you can see Ken Urata just behind him. Mitchell Chia came in for the MTC win. He's going to be very happy with that. And all happy at the scuba racing team. He got his luck, and so did Ken Urata. Do we have podium, man? Okay. So the podium ceremony coming up very soon. Stay with us for that.
It is hot down here in the pit lanes. It's definitely going to be hotter out there on the track. Ladies and gents, we are back. Welcome back at the Malaysia Championship Series down here.
And the Malaysia Championship Series 2021 season is a go. You can hear those engines screaming their way. Drive all, there's some contact at turn 15. We said there might be some action at turn 15. Wow, that's a double overtake. This is some huge stuff to kick off.
Nerves of steel needed in sizzling conditions. It's time to seize the moment in Sepang. It's time to race in Moto GP.
Yokohama.
The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for Trident's Grand Prix in Malaysia. And look at Banyaya. He's up to second. Back at Banyaya, up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. How close was that?
To all my fans, this year is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia. 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 Jom ke Sepang, kasih gegar.
Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for the Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia 2022.
GP timeline, okay? 3, 2, 1, team control, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Ayumu as well as Damo.
It is race day today, in which we will witness all of the excitement that is happening or that will be happening on the tracks here for Moto GP, Moto 2 as well as Moto 3.
Moto GP first arrived at the stunning Sepang circuit in 1999, and since then we've had 14 world champions crowned at this magnificent Malaysian track.
And we are go in Sepang, and just like yesterday, and it looks as though the Malaysian has done it. Here comes Pratama, he's not close enough. It's victory for Hakim Tanit.
Set to go here then in our first Malaysian Grand Prix in 3 years, and we are underway in Moto 3. Superb launch in the middle of that front row. Sasaki on the inside of John McPhee. Sergio Garcia's good on the brakes in the turn 15, but not that good. McPhee pinches the inside line, and has he taken the victory here in Malaysia? It's going to be all about the run to the finish line. John McPhee on course for an incredible victory. McPhee will take it. The Flying Scotsman wins another sensational race in Sepang.
Sudah tentu saya bersedia untuk full season. So doakan saya semoga berjaya dan semoga dapat poin yang saya nakkan.
Moto 2 Grand Prix in Malaysia, and we are go. Brilliant launch, the dream launch on pole then. On the front 10, you can hear the crowd. Oh, he's got that! Can you believe it? Oh my goodness!
First sekali memang perasaan tu macam tu memang best lah, memang gembira kan. Kita dapat berlumba di halaman sendiri dan juga dalam race orang cakap tu World Championship punya race.
Is go! Great start from pole position, electric start from Jorge Martin. Hard on the brakes, the pair of them go, they both snake sideways. And Bastianini, a little bit like he did on the last lap in Mazzano, almost. Pecco Bagnaia then is on course for victory here in the Malaysian Grand Prix, but the World Championship will roll on into Valencia in 2 weeks' time. Bagnaia is your winner here.
Alhamdulillah, syukur kepada ilahi kerana event Petronas Grand Prix Malaysia pada tahun ini telah berlangsung dengan sukses sekali. Ramai peminat-peminat yang datang di seluruh pelosok dunia, terutamanya rakyat Malaysia yang datang pada hujung minggu ini untuk meriahkan lagi event Petronas Grand Prix Malaysia pada tahun ini, dan saya amat-amat berterima kasih kepada semua yang hadir untuk memberi sokongan pada kami.
Yokohama.
It's time to race. Go! Great start from pole position. Electric start from Jorge Martin. And look at Bagnaia. He's up to second. Start back at Bagnaia on the inside of Marc Marquez. Up into second place. The dream start. The fairy tale first two corners. He's second.
To all my fans, this is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia. 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 Jom ku Sepang, kasih gugar.
Yokohama.
The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for China's Grand Prix of Malaysia. And look at Bagnaia. He's up to second. Close off. Back of Bagnaia up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. How close was that?
To all my fans, this is our year. Countdown in November to Sepang. It's time for Malaysian GP.
Malaysia, 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 Malaysia.
Jom kar Sepang, kasih gagar.
Yokohama.
The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for China's Grand Prix of Malaysia. And look at Bagnaia. He's up to second. Close off. Back of Bagnaia up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. How close was that?
Hello to all my fans. This is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia, 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 Malaysia. Jom kur Sepang, kasih gugar.
Nerves of steel needed in sizzling conditions. It's time to seize the moment in Sepang. It's time to race in Moto GP.
Yokohama.
The biggest race of 2022 is here as we get set fully for Trident's Grand Prix in Malaysia. And look at Banyaya. He's up to second. Close off. Back of Banyaya up into second place. Fabio Quartararo clinging on to that third place. How close was that?
To all my fans, this year is our year. Come down to Sepang this November. It's time for Malaysian GP. Malaysia. 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 Jom ke Sepang, kasih gegar.
Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for the Petronas Grand Prix of Malaysia 2022.
And they are going to see how to make roti canai, okay? 3, 2, 1, team capture, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Ayumu as well as Damo.
It is race day today, in which we will witness all of the excitement that is happening or that will be happening on the tracks here for Moto GP, Moto 2 as well as Moto 3.
Moto GP first arrived at the stunning Sepang circuit in 1999, and since then we've had 14 world champions crowned at this magnificent Malaysian track.
And we are go in Sepang, and just like yesterday. And it looks as though the Malaysian has done it. Here comes Pratama. He's not close enough. It's victory for Hakim Tanit.
Set to go here then in our first Malaysian Grand Prix in 3 years, and we are underway in Moto 3. Superb launch in the middle of that front row. Sasaki on the inside of John McPhee. Sergio Garcia's good on the brakes in the turn 15, but not that good. McPhee pinches the inside line, and has he taken the victory here in Malaysia? It's going to be all about the run to the finish line. John McPhee on course for an incredible victory. McPhee will take it. The Flying Scotsman wins another sensational race in Sepang.
Sudah tentu saya bersedia untuk full season. So doakan saya semoga berjaya dan semoga dapat poin yang saya nakkan.
Moto 2 Grand Prix in Malaysia, and we are go. Brilliant launch, the dream launch on pole then. On the front 10, you can hear the crowd. Oh, he's got that! Can you believe it? Oh my goodness!
So welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit official live stream, and we should be ready for the podium very, very soon. Oh, well, I've just heard that actually we've got to get on with the schedule today, so there won't be a podium. And what that means is, of course, that we've come to the end of our broadcast for today. Do join us tomorrow, bright and early, race 2. And as you've seen, there's going to be a lot happening in race 2. That's going to be kicking off at 9:30 in the morning. So from Nick, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Jivan. Looking forward to being here tomorrow.
We will catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.
Definitely going to be hotter out there on the track. Ladies and gents, we are back. Welcome back at the Malaysia Championship Series down here.
And the Malaysia Championship Series 2021 season is a go. You can hear those engines screaming their way. Driver, there's some contact at turn 15. We said there might be some action at turn 15. Team, wow, that's a double overtake. This is some huge stuff to kick off